You open your phone, you tell yourself you'll just check one thing, 10 minutes later you're still scrolling, and the thing you meant to do is untouched. Most people think this means they don't want it badly enough. That's not actually true. So why does motivation show up and then quietly disappear? This video isn't about pushing harder. It's not about discipline. It's not about better habits. It's understanding why motivation fades in the first place. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way, in a psychological way. And once you see it, a lot of your behavior starts making sense. If any of this feels familiar, you're not broken. Most people treat motivation like a personality feature. Some people have it, some people don't. But motivation isn't something you are. It's something your brain produces under certain conditions. Think about the last time you actually felt motivated. Not hyped, not pressured, not anxious, genuinely motivated. It probably showed up when something felt clear, manageable, safe to start. Not when you were overwhelmed, not when your brain felt cluttered. Motivation is a response to internal conditions, not a character trait, which raises an uncomfortable question. If motivation depends on internal conditions, what happens when those conditions quietly collapse? Your brain is predictive. Before you start anything, it runs a fast, unconscious calculation. How hard will this feel? How long will this take? How draining will this be? If the predicted cost feels high, your brain doesn't argue with you. It doesn't yell. It simply withholds motivation. No spark, no pull, no internal let's go. Not to punish you, not to sabotage you, but to conserve energy. Because from your brain's perspective, starting something that feels overwhelming looks like stepping into danger, so it quietly removes the emotional fuel. That's why you can want something and still feel nothing toward doing it. And that gap feels confusing, because on the surface it looks like laziness, but underneath it's avoidance built from prediction. If this feels familiar, it's because I explained the earlier part of this problem in Why You Can't Do What You Know You Should, Brain Psychology Explained. If you haven't seen that yet, you should watch that first. That video explains how mental friction forms. This video explains what happens after that friction becomes your normal. A lot of people notice something strange. At night, motivation shows up. You think about changing your life, fixing things, getting organized, starting fresh tomorrow. Then morning comes, nothing. Same goals, same intentions, no internal drive. That's not random. At night, demands drop. No emails, no messages, no expectations. Your brain finally gets a small break from pressure. And when pressure drops, motivation briefly returns. Not because you suddenly became disciplined, but because your brain feels slightly safer. Morning brings demands back. The brain runs its cost prediction again. This day looks heavy. Motivation shuts off. Same person, same goals, different internal conditions, which leads to a quiet realization. Motivation isn't failing you. Your nervous system is. Here's a calm contradiction. Trying harder does not create motivation. Trying harder increases perceived cost. When you tell yourself, I have to do this, I can't mess this up, I'm running out of time, you're not inspiring your brain. You're signaling threat. Threat makes the brain tighten. Tightening makes starting feel heavier. Heavier tasks get avoided. Avoidance reduces motivation even more. It becomes a loop. Not because you're weak, not because you lack character, but because your system is stuck in protection mode. There's another layer most people miss. Motivation relies on a quiet form of trust. Trust that starting won't be overwhelming. You won't collapse halfway through. You won't mentally drown. When you've had enough experiences where you pushed too hard, you burned out, you forced yourself, your brain learns starting leads to pain, so it stops offering motivation, not as revenge, but as prevention. This part connects directly to feeling lazy constantly. Here's what's really going on, where the pattern starts making sense. What feels like laziness is often learned avoidance. So when you say, "I don't know why I can't get myself to do this," a more accurate sentence is, "My brain doesn't feel safe starting." That's a very different story. Not a moral failure, not a personality defect. A system that adapted. Motivation doesn't vanish forever. It comes back in short windows. When pressure dips, when demands pause, when your brain senses a little space. But if your baseline state stays overloaded, motivation can't stabilize. It flickers, shows up briefly, disappears again. That's why chasing motivation feels exhausting. You're trying to extract fuel from a system that's running in reserve. Not forcing, not hype, not discipline hacks. Awareness. Seeing the pattern. Recognizing this isn't laziness. This isn't a lack of desire. This is a nervous system that learned to protect itself. That understanding alone reduces internal resistance, not instantly, but quietly, which is how real change starts. Not with pressure, with clarity. If motivation never lasts for you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means your brain has been living under conditions where starting feels unsafe. And that makes sense. If you want to understand where this pattern actually begins, if you haven't watched Why You Can't Do What You Know You Should, Brain Psychology Explained, go watch that next. It explains why this problem starts in the first place.